you spoke about bilateral factors. That's a little confusing. What is a bilateral factor, and why should we consider that, when sending off a claim?
So your bilateral factor is applicable when you have two things of the same. So we have left and right lower extremity, left and right upper extremity. If you have two of them and they are both injured, then they call that the bilateral factor. And the bilateral factor is important, and it's definitely important to take a look and consider if you have these conditions. These conditions can actually yield you 10% of the combined value. So let's say you have a 10% for your left ankle, you have 10% for your right ankle. Together, the bilateral factor is 1.9 because 10 and 10 is 19. You get 10% of that value included in your overall rating. So you could get an extra 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, depending on what your bilateral factor is. And let's say peripheral neuropathy, for example. Lower extremity at 20%, right extremity at 20%. So 20 and 20 to the VA is 36. Your bilateral factor is 3.6. That is added to that value. So you're at 36, add 3 to that, you're really at 39 for those two conditions. So you would be at 40. Now you're at 40 anyway at 36, but now you're even closer, and it comes into play when you get to those higher evaluations. Being at 94 with a bilateral factor, that would take you over the top to 95. Often, more times than not, sometimes that those bilateral factors are incorrectly applied. And if they are incorrectly applied, then you have an opportunity to go in there and look and see if you're dealing with somebody who is skilled in the bilateral factor in the combined rating table. You have an individual that truly understands what ratings to look at. You potentially have an opportunity for an earlier effective date and or an increase without even submitting additional evidence. All we have to do is identify those diagnostic codes to include, and I found this to be very relative to the VA. I would say they take a really hard stance on trying to correct any wrongs that they have. It's what they call a duty to assist. Most of those errors, and you can't call a clear and unmistakable error on a duty to assist, but if they recognize it, then they're going to go back and they're going to try to fix it for you. So you have to be aware of diagnostic codes. Some diagnostic codes could have been incorrectly applied. There's what we call avoidance of pyramiding. So you can't, have migraines and then headaches at the same time. They are the same condition. You're not going to get two separate diagnostic codes. And one of the most important things, and veterans, please listen to me carefully. It's like driving two cars at the same time. It's not possible. You can be service connected for PTSD. You could have overlapping symptomatologies of depression, anxiety, any other of a mental insomnia, any other mental condition that is included in the 99,000 series. You will not ever, and please listen, you should never file for a mental condition if you're already service connected for a mental condition. It's called the avoidance of pyramiding. It's simply overlapping symptomatology, and what we would do for you is explain to you that they meet the same criteria. You are already driving a car. You're not going to shift gears and change cars while you're already driving. You can't, change the engine while you're driving a moving car. I would say file for an increase based off of the trajectory of, can you get an increase? If you're already maximized for that condition, then you're done. You're topped out. So let's change gears and go to the next condition to maximize that condition. And if it will overall change your monthly compensation, then we file a claim. If not, then we'll tell you that claim is not going to generate you an increase. And 9 out of 10 times, if you can't die from it, we're not going to file it, or I wouldn't suggest you to file for it. And that's how we actually assist the VA and you at the same time. My name is Les Murphy, VA accredited agent, United States Marine Corps, 100% service connected veteran, and I invite you to work with my team, the VA Wizard.